much to the organisers of the event for inviting me today. My name's Kat. I've been involved in the Radical Independence campaign. And we came together, we were grouped around certain principles like social justice, economic equality and a nuclear-free Scotland. And on that last point about a nuclear-free Scotland, I think Trident, the British state's nuclear weapons system, is one of the symbols of what it means to stay in the UK. And if you haven't been to Faslane, if you've not been to the base, then I would urge you to go and see it. Because when you travel to Faslane, you head west out of Glasgow, you head towards Clydebank, to Dumbarton and on to Helensburgh. And when you head that way, you will drive along the A82, which is the only road that connects the west coast of Scotland mainland with our island communities, and it is riddled with potholes. And on that journey, you'll pass a school that's closed down, and you'll pass a hospital that's lost its A&E department and its maternity ward, and you will pass people who are queuing for food banks on the way to that base where the British government constantly pumps billions and billions of pounds. And if there is a no vote, no matter what government we get in 2015, they will continue to care more about their nuclear weapons, about housing their nuclear weapons, than about housing their own citizens. Independence for me opens up a gap in a system that has created misery and despair for so many people. Independence for me is a gap that means Scotland can shape the world stage so that we stand as a nation for peace and not for war. Britain has failed, and I think it's important to be honest that Britain has failed, and in that there is an urgency about our yes vote, because every major party at Westminster is committed to more cuts, to more austerity. Scotland will face the worst cuts in 2016, and I know that Colin has already talked about the scars of poverty across Lanarkshire that have been caused by Westminster policy. And I read a news article the other day. I live in Glasgow now, and this news article used a phrase, the Glasgow effect. And when I read the article, the Glasgow effect didn't refer to our proud tradition for industry. It didn't refer to the rent strikes that took place 100 years ago. It didn't refer to the Upper Clyde shipyards, the work-ins that happened there that saved the shipyards. It didn't refer to any of these things. It referred to the fact that Glasgow is the UK's sickest city, that babies born in Glasgow today will lead the shortest lives of any born in the UK. And that is a tragedy. That is a Victorian tragedy, because in Britain we now have a record number of billionaires. The former Chief Medical Officer for the country, Harry Burns, has said that there is absolutely a link between the statistics discussed as the Glasgow effect and Thatcher's policies of deindustrialisation, of destroying the industries that gave us wealth and gave us pride. And as Christina said, I'm originally from Hamilton, and I will never forget when me and my mum and dad and my neighbours stood at the top of the hill in a park in Hamilton and watched Ravenscraig being destroyed. That moment was a symbol of what Westminster thinks of Scotland. And in September, we have a chance, we have a hope. For the first time in decades, austerity at home and the threat of war abroad is not the best that we can expect. And for the first time, I feel like I've got something to vote for. We have the chance to change the path that we're on. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me that we can't afford it, because of course we can afford it. You've got Nobel Prize winning economists saying we can afford it. You've got the head of Better Together saying we can afford it. But it's not about that, because see, when we get independence, what we'll show is that in an independent Scotland, it's not about how rich you are as a nation, but about how you distribute the wealth amongst your citizens. And I try not to talk about the No campaign too much. I try not to give them too much credence. But the way that they are running their campaign is disgraceful. How dare anyone try try to make people afraid of their own right to self-determination. The fear that they try and instill in people that somehow if we vote yes, everything will fall apart. I'm standing here in front of you today saying I do have a fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that in years to come there will still be children born in Scotland who are deemed born to fail because of their postcode. That there will still be pensioners who have to choose whether they put their heating on or put food on the table. That there will still be families torn apart by joblessness. That there will still be generation after generation of young people who feel like they have no say in their own destiny. I have no fear of an independent Scotland. I'm only afraid of more of the same. And I want to finish on this. We have a huge task ahead of us. For the next 3 months, we have a huge task to go out and convince as many people as we can that another Scotland is possible. And on the 19th of September, when we win the referendum, we will shape. When we win the referendum, we will shape not just a new nation, not just a new Scotland, but